Well, welcome, one and all. We will be having someone join us just to learn Tabletop Simulator, Dungeons and Dragons basics. Oh, weird. Why not lump it in? Make it a tutorial. That way we can post it on the YouTube and post it on Twitch, and that way if any of you ever want to know kind of how to do it and what's what, you have a nice resource to go to. The infamous Mr. Blue Dragon will be joining us. Mr. Blue Dragon is one who may be joining us on a future playthrough of some crazy fun experiences. It'll be a blast. Currently, the three that look like they're plausible for the are Mr. Blue Dragon, Mr. Solo Dad, and a Mr. Imperio. Which means we have a slot for 2 additional. Setting is still being debated, so we can sit on that. Okay. Gonna give him one more minute and then we'll go ahead and start, and I'll at least show you guys. Found some new resources that I hadn't really seen before that I need to use for other games. Well, isn't that fun? Stuff like that happens all the time. You get things workshop. You get things in the workshop. Then you remember things in the workshop. You get things from right? That's the fun we had. You know, tabletop fan, you're addicted. In Tabletop Workshop. Yeah. And I know why. Ooh, no way. That is some stuff I didn't know. Cool. I knew about one of these that I'd seen before. I'll go ahead and bring you guys in. We're still waiting for Dragon to join us. We're going to do some... Oh, hey! You just showed up. Mr. Dragon, welcome.
I'll say he's somewhere around here.
Well, you know. He exists somewhere here or there. I figured it'd be good to stream it, and that way we have a nice record for anyone who's interested to, you know, know how to play. Because you're not necessarily the only one who wants to know how to play.
I need to load up the game, right?
Yes, Tabletop Simulator. And to be said, the D&D stuff we talk about will be for any platform. But I like Tabletop Simulator because it's a physics engine. You can feel that tactile tossing of the dice that you can at a table. Just, to me, it adds to the environment and makes it feel more real. Where other virtual tabletops that I've seen, like Roll20 and stuff, they're not bad. I just don't like the 2D POG aspect of them. I like the 3D physics engine that is Tabletop Simulator. And of course, little dude starts screeching bloody murder in the background. Pick a color. Blue, green, teal, white, brown, red, yellow, orange, purple, pink.
Blue. Blue.
Shocker. Never would have expected it.
I know, right?
You need to turn the music down a little bit. You're fairly faint comparatively. And there goes the other one screaming. Well, you all get to hear lovely children screaming in the background today, apparently. Oh man. So this is just a table with some stuff. And I believe we had another table with just stuff. Where did it go? Yeah, whatever. The noise. Just shaking my head. Shaking my head. So, to start off, I figured it'd be good to learn some about Tabletop Simulator. So that you kind of, get the basics of maneuvering around. WASD will move you around when you're in different perspective modes. To switch your perspective mode, you can click P. You have top down, which means you're locked above. You can't zoom down. So that's a lot more like Roll20 sort of perspective where you're just straight down looking. Everything will look 2D, even if it's 3D. It is 3D. And then you have the third and first person. Third person, you kind of have a perspective you can move around. First person changes that perspective controls just a little bit. And instead of the right-click mouse button, by the way, will turn your camera like you're looking. And then middle mouse button can move you around like WASD can. In first-person perspective, W will zoom in, S will move out, and then of course A and D will shift you left and right. Where in third-person mode, W and S will move you forwards and backwards, and then still left and right, the other two. So it's a matter of what kind of perspective you want. So, that makes sense?
Makes sense. Yes.
Okay.
Kept up with all of it.
Oh, you can get it. Not that hard. Don't expect you to remember it all absolute, but
I get around pretty good with the mouse, so I'm okay with that.
well, there you go. And so, anything you put your mouse over and changes its cursor to a T, so a nameplate there, for example, will tell you that you can type on it. If you want to measure things, on the left-hand side, you'll see there is grab, draw, zone, line, flick, combine, text, gizmo, decal, point. You'll see that when you mouse over them, it's F1 through F10. Yeah. If you do tab, you'll switch to the line option. If you hold tab, you can measure. And if you push tab, you'll click like that, or you can click when you have the measure up and you'll make a nice little arrow where you can point to things, indicating to people where you want them to look. If there's any particular questions you have, feel free to ask at any point. Because I believe this is your first time in Tabletop Simulator, right?
Yeah. First time.
So, any questions, feel free to ask. You'll be helping anyone else who views this later or anyone who's viewing live with us to, answer their questions too.
I'm sure questions, I just don't know them yet.
Yep, no, that's good. So, a dice, you can click manually, left click to pick it up. And you can move it and then release left click to throw it. Or if you have it highlight around it, you'll see a little yellow box. You can actually tap R. And if you just hit R once, it'll do that. If you hit R a few times, it'll do that sort of a thing. There is physics properties on it. If you right click, actually let me promote you just in case it won't let you do that. Yes, promote Blue Dragon, because I don't care if you mess up my table. If you right-click on any of the items, you will see a drop-down with all sorts of different things. Don't fret. You don't need to know all of them. And a lot of them do exactly what they say. The physics one is one example I wanted to tell you about, because it will change how things work. So if we change... let's actually just turn the friction off, just for funniness, and we're going to put the bounciness to, I don't know, something absurd. So if you look at the physics now on the dice, you'll see the material has changed. And so now, if you hit R on it, watch what happens. It's going to act very differently to how it was. You see how it kind of didn't seem to have its speed reduced as much and kind of bounced around a bit? That's because now it has something called bounce. So when it hits, it's going to bounce around. That's the material tab, bounciness. And then we turn the friction off, does that. Now, if you're ever wondering what something does, it has a nice little question mark. You mouse over it, and you'll see a nice little pop-up that gives you a message on what it is. Who'd have thought, right? Isn't that cool?
Watch your screen at the same time and see if I can understand what's going on.
My oh my. Yeah. You have two screens, right?
Yeah.
Alright. So yeah, if you have the stream up on one and you have the game up on the other, you'll be able to see what I'm pointing at. So all I did was exactly what I told you to, which was right click and you can click physics and it pops up in the window. We have material. And if it has a question mark, you can mouse over it. Pops up a nice little message on what it is.
Is this right click anywhere?
Right click on the object you're going to use. If you right click anywhere, you're doing table, in which case you can actually do camera perspective, which I told you P is shortcut for that. You can save and load camera positions. You can do picture in picture, which pops up a little additional screen.
Move with the mouse. I right click. I don't see physics.
Did you right click on the object and you don't see anything?
Got roll, rotate value, toggle, tag, save object, color tint, flip, rotate scale, clone, delete.
You don't have physics? Okay.
That's it.
Well, that would mean that since the table's protected, you don't have full rights to everything. I am sorry about that.
So I wasn't doing nothing wrong.
No. There's all sorts of different options here and there about things like that. Physics. Okay, well, I don't see an option to change that right now, but that's okay. That's why I said have the stream open too, because you may not have that. I didn't know that. But this will, if you're running a table, this will be available to you. And you'll be able to control the physics of items. And that doesn't, not just the mouse now, or not just the dice, which the dice are important ones to do, but you can actually control physics on other things. You just don't necessarily want to, because changing it can be problematic, because then it's going to act like that. So, these are all workshop items. They cost me $0 to get once I had the game. That's part of the awesome thing about this game is the workshop has so many amazing things. So, now that we've seen this, I want to quickly save a couple of things and then back to it. Was there anything in here we needed? Possibly. I'm just going to save these items because I found them and I don't want to lose them. I believe this was the sci-fi-ish one. That right now. Don't need that, okay. Just verifying a few things. Thank you for your patience. And so now I'm actually going to open a new table. It's one of the default tables. And I'm going to show you one of the other things that's cool about Tabletop Simulator. Let me know when you're loaded. Welcome! Totally get it, Dragon. Viking, thank you for the work, Lurk.
Loaded.
So, you notice the minis. Something that's fun that it supports is actual animated 3-dimensional minis.
Which are cool.
Now, that doesn't mean all the ones in the workshop you get are going to be 3-dimensional, or that they're all going to be animated, because they also have other minis that are not that. So, you can see these two are obviously not animated. This is just a 3-dimensional figure, and this is 2-dimensional. It just is a picture. Now it's blank white because I didn't import anything, but you can import any picture you want for that. So, something I'm hoping to do on the Viking game that you've seen is actually use some of the 3D tiles to build out the dungeons, but the problem is that takes quite time. So I hadn't been able to do that yet. But these is an example. This is all you get, like all this 3D assets here, you get just by having Tabletop Simulator. You have access to all of them, can use all of them. Welcome, Acid, welcome. We're teaching someone Tabletop Simulator and then some D&D basics after that. So, any of these can be moved around. Now, you'll notice you can place them anywhere, right? If you're playing something like Warhammer or something like that where a grid's not used, that's perfect. If we're going to use a grid-based system, there is an option. Under toggles, which you said you did see, there is a few options. You want snap and grid. And if you're using Fog of War, which you may have seen in my last stream of the D&D game, the episode 1, there was Fog of War, in which case you can do reveal Fog of War. You can also do measure movement if you wanted, which means when you pick them up it measures movement and stuff like that. Grid projection is also a fun one sometimes. So if we go to here, I can go to grid, options, grid. I don't know if you have that available, but you can do lines, center, or both, depending on how you have it set. Kind of depends on that. So you can show lines, and as you see on the tabletop, lines went everywhere. That shows the grid that you're currently set. You can also do different versions of hexes if you're doing a game that uses hexes instead of squares. You can change the color, you can change the opacity, how opaque or transparent it is. Yeah, opacity, I always say that weird. You can do thin lines, thick lines, depending on how you want it to be. You can do offset and sizes. For now, we're just going to leave it off. I just want to turn on the snapping. Because now you'll see when you move any of the guys, you'll see them snap. This guy right here, this lizardman that I have, I'll bring him up to your hand, is the one in question, mainly. And you'll see when you move him, it snaps and you'll see a little ghost figure currently when I'm moving him. And that will actually drop him where that figure, the ghost drop image is. And that would be the option that I told you, where grid projection. And so that helps you see where it's going to be placed, and you can kind of control that. And you'll see snapped right in the center. If you only want him to snap in the center, then under the grid, you could just do center instead of both or lines. But I wanted to do that so you could see how it all works. So he snaps on the center, on the lines, or center of the actual square. Cool?
Cool. Got
Just
that.
Yeah, it's just some things that help the play so that, you know, you can play faster. You know, in real life, it's more like, you know, snake here, since it's not, oh, it is snapping. It has snap on. We turn snap and grid off. You see, now I can just put them anywhere. And so when you're playing in real life, you move and you're just like, oh, well, no, I need to get him in that square there. You know what I mean? And so having the grid snap on can help you kind of speed up play by dropping him where you need. So, all right, any questions yet?
I'm with you this time.
Okay, we're good. I'm trying to make sure. I'm going to stop every so often and ask, because I don't want to rush too fast. But I mean, I'm quite familiar with it, so it doesn't, you know, exactly hinder me to go fast. But I don't want to, you know, hinder you. Now, these models are cool because they also have something called different modes, different animation things. They can have different modes, which one switches the mode. Because if you notice, you put your mouse over, when you right click, you'll see it says in, what do you call it? Not brackets. Greater than, less than signs. You see it says mode, and it has 1 when you mouse over it. And then 2 for attack, 3 for die. And so if you switch, like this one has hammer or no hammer. Snake has rearing up or down, slithering. Of course, they both have attack options. Because these are animated. There you go. Bite your hand. Bite your hand. Bite your hand. And then, of course, your favorite one. Ugh. Ugh. And what's fun is you can actually do this. You're going to want to watch the stream for a second.
Gotcha.
Everyone attacks, and everyone... Oh, nope, it doesn't let me do all of them. Really? It used to let you select all of them and just let them all die. Now it's only the one that you're moused over. There you go. Everyone's dead. Oh, missed one. But dead, of course, can always work for, say, they're sleeping. Apparently the rock guy can't die, though. He just steps back. So, some fun little things.
Hard, wicked, yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah, it's wicked if he's still working hard.
Be working hard or hardly working is always the fun question, right? So yeah.
I work hard having fun.
The other thing is...
that has to count for something.
Right, right. Yeah, the other thing is these ones you'll see have snap on as well. It means I can't exactly get a chair to go in the center. However, there is a way to fix that. Is you can switch and actually see that this is at X23. So I need this at X24. They're all properly spaced. These are at -13. So this one, all I'd have to do, and now it's in place where I want it to be. And also something fun, you can copy and place things. But it's having problems because they have snap on. So, you're fighting 1 and then you're fighting 2, they all died because that's how they were copied off of. And of course, copy is the standard Windows command, Control-C, Control-V, Control-X deletes for cuts. Mousing over and hitting delete does exactly that, deletes. So all those standard Windows commands work well. Any questions yet?
Still with you.
Go. So that's predominantly what you need to know for playing.
Hey, I do have a question.
Yeah.
Where did you go? You said the stuff that you see came with the tabletop simulator. Where did you go to access the stuff?
Well, this is under Classic. These are all here when you install Tabletop Simulator because they are yours. You go Games, Classic. I just clicked the RPG one because it loaded the table with all the stuff. However, you can also go to Objects, Components, and you'll see there's all different sorts of components that you can drop. These all came with Tabletop Simulator. So these are all available for anyone to drop whenever they feel like. So I always find it funny when tables try to, present them as though they're theirs. Because they're just, here by default. Anyone can get access to them. All sorts of different things. F flips. You didn't catch that? What was it? Z zooms. So if you need to zoom in somewhere, you put your mouse over it, you can hit Z. It'll zoom in. Space jumps back out to a preset screen position. Trying to think, is there any other commands that are useful to know? You can blindfold yourself, but that doesn't really usually help. Trying to think if there's any other good useful commands. You can drag and drop items, place them, or you can just click them and then drop them. And when you click them, you'll have a little ghost figure where you're placing them, and you can place as many as you want. There is different tables that come with Tabletop. Oh, that's a good thing to learn too. If things fall off the table, they'll drop back up on top. So, whee! They all went inside the bag. If you're wondering where they all went. Because I've created a bag. So there's a bunch of different default tables, and you can download new tables as well. So depending on what you're doing, you may want to choose a different style table. A lot of potential for different games and different things. Which is why they named it the way they did.
Well, definitely see the options, that's for sure.
This one is custom table. You can have the white there be any image you want. And then same thing with this square one. And then, of course, there's the option for a no table, which means everything just falls into the universe repeatedly because there's nothing there. There's a few default backgrounds that come, but you can always place your own as well. So, I don't like this background. What do I want to do? Well, let's change it.
Notice the dragon's face.
Oh, look! There's a new background. When you want to load something, you can either load the whole thing by clicking it, or if it's a save game or a workshop item, you can click the little 3 dots in the top right corner of the item. You can do an additive load, which means load everything to the existing. You can get info, you can move it, you can delete it. The other option is to do a search. So I'll do an additive load first so you can see that. And you'll notice it's going to load its stuff to our existing. So you can actually build items without and remove the table and everything below them. And do an additive load to bring them in.
Okay, throw in a loop question for you here.
Yep.
Can you take the pieces that come with it, build something big, and make all them pieces one piece?
Yes.
I know you were talking about the more pieces you have, the load time hurts. So if you make them one piece,
you'll notice this one isn't here, but they're all locked in place. So if I go like this, there is a limit to the number of things you can select. But I can select it. The downside is I don't think the Fog of War would work as well with the walls if you combine everything. But there's a nice little gizmo here called Combine, which is F6. You can attach them to each other. You can join them to one another. You can do a hinge join, a spring join. So fixed, hinge, spring, or attach. Attach means you're going to take the object and another object into one object. They're no longer their own entity. They are one. The other ones, the fixed joint, allows you to fix 2 objects together, creating a parent-child relationship, like the attach tool, but they are still separate objects. Hinge join is a similar thing, but it joins hinge-link construction. And you can even have, things work with it. And it creates a new menu option. And then spring join is, basically like a spring joint connected. So, attach combines everything with another option. Actually, I still have something to show on that, now that I think about it. No, I didn't. I deleted it. Oh well. For the Warhammer playthrough I was doing a little Warhammer game back before you actually joined the channel. And I had built the whole map and combined it into a large object. Let me see if this one has one of them. And so it was literally just one big object. Doesn't look like this is it. But what that did was allow me to drop the whole thing. And that was before I knew about the additive load working correctly.
I actually think I remember watching you do some of that.
So, if we select the whole table, we could make, this whole thing here. We could combine all these into one item if we wanted. And then we could move it all around as one. So let's quickly do that. So now you'll see it's all one item. Well, it's supposed to be. Oh, I see why. I see what happened. They're not letting me select the grass below. There we go. Now you'll see the whole thing is considered one thing. I'm moving the whole thing together. It's all locked in place to where it's at. It's all called the same item. It's all now called crater terrain, even though they all weren't before. And I can move the whole thing. All one big object now. It still has all its feature looks, but it all moves as one object. The whole thing will slant according to the same position. So there is upsides and downsides to doing that. Oh, there was a custom orc model that will actually show it really good. I've just been a while since I've done it to show you. Let me see if this has it. But a guy made a really cool orc boss site set for the workshop where you could actually do exactly what I'm talking about. You lock the item, you get it connected up, and they are wielding a gun that you want. Oh, I know what I did it with. Just remembered when I did it with. So I was doing this is not a test campaign, so it kind of fizzled out due to availability and stuff. And these guys right here were his main troops. The guns were not there. I attached them, and you'll see there's a little bit of clipping issue to prove it. And so when he switches position, he drops it because it's no longer attached. I didn't join them as one object. I locked it in place and then locked it there. So they're still two separate objects, so you can actually highlight the assault rifle or the model holding it because I did a fixed join on it instead of an attach. An attach will make them one item, as you saw. This will actually make them be separate items still, but then you can attach them physically and they'll move as one. To do that, I literally had to take it, I had to reorient it using the tool that I'd mentioned earlier. And so I had to, take the gun. You'll probably want to watch the stream because it's a little bit hard to explain just verbally. So we have to take this, move it to the angle we want. We need to move it a little bit like this. Nope, not that one. To rotate a little bit for me. And you see it's not in the right position, right? But if we go like this, and it undoes everything because you unlocked it and tried to move it. Can't then do that. You have to stay in this modified tool positioning to get it to the position you want. So you can move it to where you want and rotate it, or you can rotate it and then move it to where you want. So, they're kind of close. Then we can rotate it. Go back to it. Lower it down to his hands. It's a little off, but you get the idea. Now since I have it locked, it stays there, and so then all I have to do is select him, select this, go back to join, fix join, click the guy, and now I can unlock him. I can unlock the assault rifle so he moves, and I can now move him around with the assault rifle, like he's one model. Cool?
Cool.
So that's where doing things like that comes in. You can actually do custom models like this, where the people can provide different assets and you can combine them into a model like that. Now, like I said, you can combine them all as one item if you wanted, but there are some disadvantages to doing that. It doesn't always play nice. So now you'll see I made him one item. There is no way to click the assault rifle. And if I go to the other settings now, you'll see, oh, there's now collision issue. Not colliding correctly anymore. It's going with the assault rifle, not with him. And that's the issue I found. Sometimes it doesn't pick the right thing for the collision. I may have just got it backwards, but sometimes it's easier just to leave them separate so that if you then choose to swap it out with a different one, you can take it out. There you go. Any other questions?
Not yet.
Cool. So if you choose to save an item, so say you want to save this guy, well, why would you do that? Save all three as one object if you want. You can right click on them, hit save object, and then name it. And that puts it in this saved object folder. Which you'll see I have a few things here. So there you go, there's some coins for you. And you'll see that this one loads a whole set. And they're all separate. But it's all one item to spawn it. So you can do all sorts of things like that. You can have custom PDFs, custom notepads like I showed you before that you could, type on one of those note cards that come with the game. You could have them pre-typed on, save them, and that way that allows you to pull it all in. Now, if it's a whole table setup you want, you can actually save the game, in which case you save the whole table at its current status, the way it is when you're looking at it, so that you can easily go back to it. So, one that will probably look familiar is this. Of course, it'll take a little bit to load because there's a lot of objects, and of course, you'll know why when you see the map.
Yeah, we know this one.
Oh, you do, you do.
To a point.
But that's the thing. The whole thing is just one map, all set, load. Which is cool. It helps, If you're trying to set up a game, you're good to go. Instead of having to manually load all the pieces in. But as you saw, I did delete a few items last game day because I realized it was slowing it down a little bit too much. And apparently there's a glitch where there might be an item over here for you that shouldn't be. Is there a lightsaber over there for you? Near the initiative tracker? Or is there not a light save? So on the game day they said there was one here and there shouldn't be.
I still have a few things loading in. I think I still have a few things loading in.
Okay. It says you should be loaded.
Not seeing all the table.
What aren't you seeing? Stuff on my screen?
I see a black tabletop.
Alright, if you look at the stream, this is what you should be able to see.
A little less on the tabletop.
Interesting. Is the fog of war blocked here?
Yeah, all I see is like where the little characters are. Yeah, that's about all I see. Everything else, there you go.
Now are you seeing it?
That explains it.
So it just loaded as full fog of war area for you because you weren't in before. That's fine. Good to know. But I can always do this and reset it, make it disappear, or I can just, get rid of it. Look at that. But yeah, that's the fog of war. It works well if you're trying to, have things hidden. Enhance the gameplay a little bit,
Cool to know.
And you'll notice over here, you don't see anything. And I don't see anything right now either, because I'm not in my DM mode. You can actually, if you remember Paranoia, everyone had their own area that was fogged out, where they had a zone, a hidden zone, where you could have your own details, thereby making it, oh, this wasn't the Paranoia table, oh well. But yeah, you can make zones of different colors, where, see, you see what's inside the blue, I don't. But if I change to EM, black, I can see inside there. I see that the blue is there, but I can see inside fine. Do you see how you see the blue right now in this area?
Yep.
As soon as I switch your color, that all goes away. Now you just see a blue square. It looks solid. And so players or teams or whatever can have their own private zone, allowing them to have things there. Now, there is colors, which is players. There is actually teams you can do as well if you're doing teams. And then, you know, all sorts of fun stuff. But, I mean, there's even stuff I don't even know about on Tabletop. I'm not the absolute person to talk about it, all the details. But I wanted to at least give you a little bit of education on it, so you kind of had an idea of how things work. Oh, that's the one I meant to load. This is the one that has a zone for each player. Has their character sheet and everything in it. So, there you go. You'll only be able to see yours. I can see all of them. And that's, you know, another way to help be able to play. Any other questions, or are you ready to move on to D&D tutorial?
Same thing. I'm sure more questions will arise, but we're ready.
Okay. We're going to go back to this one. It's a little simpler of a table to load. I'm going to pause here for just a moment to check on things here, and then we'll pick up in just a moment and we'll do this. And I'm also going to mark it so we kind of have a record of where it switches to D&D instead of Tabletop Simulator. And I'm going to edit the stream to make sure everyone knows we're doing that part now. Give me just a moment and we'll be live. Dragon, hang on just a moment. Let me check things here and then I'll be right back. Thank you everyone for your patience there. I want to make sure that able to check on things here because they're getting ready to leave. I heard some commotion, and we all know that commotion's always a positive thing with little ones, right? So, took about an hour for Tabletop